Interview handshake in the new normal. So now it's 2020, and what has coronavirus done to the interview handshake? The job interview handshake has been viewed as like the most important thing in the job interview. Its importance has been wildly overstated. But in this new normal, how is the interview handshake going to exist? Is it going to survive? Today, we're going to cover that and more. And if you watch to the end, I'll tell you something I'm really happy about. What up, fam? Dr. James W. Stalkup, a.k.a. Jimmy Joe Coltrane. Let's get started. The handshake was filthy and disgusting even before coronavirus. I'm a doctor. I don't want to touch your filthy hand. I would go to conferences and put my arm in a sling so that I would not have to shake people's hand. I don't like it. I have an aversion to it. I acknowledge I'm on the extreme end of the spectrum, but I don't like it. I don't like that handshaking. It's still around. I've been in professional environments where people still do it. It's a habit. It's going to take a while to extinguish that habit. So I'm going to cover 5 points today and talk about the interview handshake in case you are still asked to do this. In case this somehow makes it through coronavirus, I want you to know how to do it and why I believe it to be overstated. So what about the elbow bump? Is the elbow bump going to survive? It feels very unnatural. I've seen people do it. I don't like the elbow bump, mainly because I can't bump elbows with people without being so close that I'm breathing the same air as them. So in an airborne virus, the problem is the air. The problem is not I'm touching your hand rather than my elbow touching your elbow. All of this stuff started early on in coronavirus, and as we've learned more and more about masking and transmission, it's sort of becoming antiquated, even though it's only a few months old. If you are in a position of giving a handshake in a job interview, realize it is not that important. Now, I hope you've watched some of my videos on virtual job interview sets and staging. Realize that your first appearance is now going to be replaced by a virtual appearance. So things like audio, lighting, staging become very, very important and are far more important than the traditional, how shiny were your shoes? Did you do the handshake right? But when you do a handshake, it should be natural. I have read thesis on who reaches first, and if you reach first, does that mean you're a go-getter? As a manager who has interviewed a whole lot of people over the years, I do not think that has any significance. I have never gathered anything, nor do I know any managers who have ever gathered any significance of who reaches first. So why do people say that the job interview handshake is important? It's because it is part of the first impression. So managers for years have thought that the handshake was causing the impression, but it's not the handshake. It's most likely your appearance and your nonverbal communication. Someone comes in to seek a job. This applicant is standing there, and the handshake is tied temporarily to the time that the obstacle first becomes aware of them, first meets them. That's the first impression. The attire, the posture, the body language, the eye contact, how you move, do you have furtive or fast movements? All of this, we don't know how to describe it, right? The managers don't know how to say that, so they tie it to the handshake. The handshake will seem good if all of those other keys are in order. Now's a good time to mention that I have an interview course that is very inexpensive and will take you start to finish through how to do all of these steps and how to make sure that you've proofed your appearance, your behavior, your content, and your virtual staging. The link to that is in the description. Also, we've got a lot of free videos on the channel. We publish more every week, so make sure and click like and click subscribe. What are some don'ts for the handshake? Do not talk or have any form of conversation while you're shaking hands. Shake hands, a couple pumps, let go, and then you can talk, okay? Talking during a handshake is one way that can make the handshake take longer, and then it gets weird. Secondly, don't hang on for too long. Just a couple, 3 pumps and let go. The handshake should not be any sort of like bonding moment that exists outside of just a formality, right? People don't like that. They find it off-putting. Remember, our goal is to endear ourselves to that obstacle. And you're not going to be endearing if you do some sort of weird handshake that takes too long. Don't be super excited during the handshake. Don't lean in and look like you're really, really happy to be there. Just shake hands and be calm and confident. Do not pull when you shake hands. I have seen this happen. I have felt this happen, that I've shaken someone's hand and they eagerly like put traction on my hand. Yo, fam, I don't want to shake your hand to begin with. I certainly do not want you pulling on my body. Another don't do this aggressive fast shake, like this real aggressive, like I don't know what this is, almost like you're expecting a martini to come out of this interaction. You're shaking so hard and aggressively. I do not like that. The amplitude of the shake should be a normal amplitude. It shouldn't be this low amplitude, high frequency shake. It should be a normal kind of pace and a normal amplitude. The amplitude being how high and low the hand goes. Boy, I may be getting a little bit too far into this. I think about these things. I got a job interview channel. I have to think about it. It's my job. Fam, do not involve the other hand. This hand, my left hand, has no business in a handshake. When you're shaking hands, never cover with the other hand. That makes me feel like I'm going to get kidnapped. I do not like that. And the last thing, and I almost think this is evolutionary. I don't know why this is. Do not ever, if you're one of these people, this is almost exclusively males. I've never had a female shake my hand in this manner. If you are a male and you do this thing where you squeeze someone's hand very firm, I don't know what led you to this point. I don't know how you got here in your life that you're trying to squeeze someone's hand. I think that this is either intended to show dominance or maybe to say, hey, I'm meeting you, but if this was a fight, I would beat you up. Or maybe it's like, realize that in a survival scenario, I would, be the dominant leader. Don't squeeze someone's hand hard. That's weird. And if you are a hard hand squeezer, if you're like, yeah, I'm going to give them a little squeeze, or whatever goes, I don't know what happens in your mind to make you do that during a handshake. Everyone's hand who you have ever shaken thinks that that's weird. Everybody. I'm just telling you because I want you to stop doing it. I don't want you going around putting off a weird creepoid vibe because you're doing this hard handshake weirdness. Now, you know what's going to really make me happy? If the handshake dies out altogether. There is a possibility that in 2020, this may be the last year of the handshake. Perhaps the coronavirus has changed the way society looks at interpersonal interaction to where finally we can stop this weird convention. In countries around the world, there are different customs for greeting. This is a cultural thing. This is not in our DNA. We are habituated to do it. Hopefully that will stop. Thanks for watching.